Hi guys, I'm Christine and I did my service learning at El Buen Amigo. It's a store on Almond Avenue in Buffalo. And it was a really interesting experience. El Buen Amigo, again, like I said, is a store and it works for LACA. LACA stands for Latin American Cultural Association. And the mission for LACA is working for progress. El Buen Amigo works to promote human rights and justice for our brothers and sisters in Central and South America. By providing them with an outlet for their artisan goods, we help achieve more fair and sustainable lives for them and their families in countries where economies are sagging, unemployment is high, and vocational opportunities are few. This is just a little flyer that Santiago gave me. Santiago is the owner of El Buen Amigo and is also the owner or the person who works behind LACA. He's a really interesting man. He's from Chile. Chile? Yes. And the services offered at his store are Spanish classes, translation services, field trips, internships, and volunteer opportunities like I did, and also community awareness of Latin American culture, because Latin American culture is very important to Santiago, and he wants to teach it to everybody. He wants everybody to embrace it and embrace their own culture even. The aspect of the program that I participated in was the storefront, and I just helped around a little bit at the store. Didn't do a lot because I did more learning than anything. I learned way more than I thought that I would at the target population of El Buen Amigo. It's geared more towards high school students, young adults, college students, because we are the future. And Santiago, again, like I said, loves his Latin American culture. He wants us to embrace it, and he wants us to show others how important this Latin American culture is. So he holds classes for all students, and he takes students in. I know that he was working on a project a couple weeks ago where people were coming in, high school students, making necklaces out of beads, and he wanted to show them how this was important in Latin American culture, and that's why those people are the target population. I did 20 hours at El Buen Amigo. I went there for 5 Fridays, and I went there from 3 to 7 with a friend of mine, Sarah. She's in my Spanish class, and we had a lot of fun there. Like I said, working at El Buen Amigo was more of a learning experience than a working experience, and that was the best part about El Buen Amigo because I cleaned a little bit here and there for Santiago, but more so he gave me the gift of learning. For example, one day he had a spiritual healer come in, and we all sat in the audience, and the spiritual lady just talked about her spiritual teachings, how she went to Brazil, and she found God, and just a whole bunch of stuff that it's a little complicated to talk about. She talked about crystals, and it was really interesting because it opened my eyes to like the spiritual aspect of the world. Another day we had an art gallery, an art show right in El Buen Amigo, and I saw a lot of art pieces just from people in our community. That was really interesting that you could buy the art. And another day we did something called a character tower, and a character tower is like, to me it was like a huge tower. Think about Jenga. You build this tower with these blocks, and the way that you position the blocks would either make the tower really big or the tower would fall down. And if you learned patience, you would be able to build the character tower as high as you can. You wouldn't only build patience, but you would build character, and that took about 2 to 3 hours to do. So I really tried to build patience, and that was a neat thing. So learning was a big part of El Buen Amigo. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the character tower. The character tower was a neat experiment because it was nothing like I'd ever done before, and it was actually an experiment created by Santiago himself. What it was there was a box filled with blocks, and the blocks were about this big, and part of the process was choosing a block and making sure that it was perfect size, perfect width, so that you're able to create a really strong tower. And if all the blocks that you chose were about the same size and were perfect in length and width, then you could build a really strong tower. After you built a really strong tower, the next biggest challenge was not only getting it high enough, but removing a leg of the tower after you built its strength. And the amazing thing was, after you removed a leg of a tower, it was a tower that had 4 legs, like a box. After you removed a leg of it, you would think that it would fall down, but it didn't, because it was so strong and your character was built up so high. And here's a picture of me doing it. As far as the relationships I formed a lot of relationships. Not only did I form a great relationship with my friend Sarah, who also did the service learning project with me, I formed a great relationship with Santiago. He's a great man. He's like a grandfather to me, and he's like a grandfather to everybody in the store. He really tried to get connected with all of his interns and all of his volunteers because he really cared about all the work that we were doing for him and all the learning that he had to give us. I know one day my boyfriend came to pick me up, and he didn't just say, "Oh, bye Christine, see you later." He really talked to my boyfriend and went to see as much information as he could get out of him, and that was really cool because it showed that he really cared. And we weren't just interns anymore, we were friends. And I also made great relationships with other people from other colleges who interned, and it was interesting to hear all about what they were doing in school, and it was just a really great experience. As far as issues regarding human diversity goes, I don't feel that there were any issues regarding human diversity because the store is all about culture and celebrating culture. Santiago, like I said, is from Chile, and we all, celebrated his culture, so that was something diverse about him. Also, he was really good at staffing his store and met a lot of different people, and he opened his store to his community. So when he had the art gallery, I saw a lot of diverse humans, a lot of different people showing their art, and that was really cool. There was no issues regarding human diversity. There was really only celebration. Regarding back to class and what we learned in class lectures and everything, I think the number one thing I learned in our class is that education is what can end poverty. And I believe that Santiago does this in his class, in his store too. He believes that education is really important. That's why he holds all these classes for young students like us, or just anybody who wants to take his Spanish classes, dance classes, anything. And the way that his education can end poverty is that his education of Latin American culture and all the items that he sells are from fair trade, and they're all from different countries. So by him selling all these items, he's actually helping the people who make these handcrafted items. He's helping them out of poverty by giving them money, and his education really helps. The 20 hours that I spent at El Buen Amigo was an amazing experience, and what I think that I learned from the experience is that it's important to embrace culture and to embrace diversity, because culture and diversity is everywhere. We see it everywhere in the world, and you can even see it in a little store on Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo. And I think that Santiago's fight to keep culture alive was just really amazing. My last recommendations would be that all of you go visit El Buen Amigo on Elmwood. It's an amazing little store, and you can buy really cool things, and you can meet the most interesting man that I've ever met in my life, Santiago. Thank you.